speaker with us today. He's kicking off our FCOT Rising Stars talks. Miss Grace, do you want to introduce James?
Absolutely. Well, James, I won't take too much of your thunder away. So, James was an ex-student of ours here at Farnborough. So, James, we've got you online today to really sort of outline your career, if possible, to our students who have just joined us. We've got year one, we've got year two, and we've also got year three students online. So, if you could start us off from the start of your journey, from particularly what school that you started off and to leading up to college and where you are today, really, because you've got a fascinating story and I think everyone should hear about it.
Cheers. Yeah, thank you guys for having me anyway. Yeah, so I'm James. Turned 25 last week. I'm getting old now.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I finished school in 2012. I went to Wavell, just down the road from Farnborough Tech. And I used to play when I was at school. I sort of played semi-professional rugby, so I always wanted to go down the sport kind of route. I was looking to physiotherapy, all those kind of things, and I paid for an academy, but I wasn't quite at the level that you need to be really good in sport. So I sort of started with a few different things, and I always loved cooking. Used to cook a lot with my nan when she was here, so that was always a massive sort of inspiration to me also. So I went to an open day at Farnborough College of Technology, obviously where you guys are. And I just was walking around. I went to the sports department with my mom and a friend, and sort of looking around. And I saw out the corner of my eye, walking down the main strip, I guess, whatever it's called now. And out of the corner of my eye, I caught Miss Grace and a student doing a flambe, and I was like, "That's what I want to do." So I walked in and started the whole process and joined up. And obviously, like for you guys, you know, it's quite a shock when you get there. Especially lots of my friends went to sixth form, and they were still kids. And I remember the first day we walked in, and it was almost like, well, you need to get a job. And I was like, whoa, slow down. I'm 15, 16 years old, like crazy. And then, yeah, so treated like an adult straight off the bat, which I found hard at the start, but obviously like grew into the whole thing. Got myself a job and going through level 1, level 2, and then really sort of end of level 2, I was sort of really torn on. I loved cooking and I loved being in the kitchen and everything, but also the front of house side and Miss G kind of had this like bit playing in my head, and I didn't know. I was really caught between, do I go level 3 in the kitchen? Do I go level 3 in front of house? Can I do 1 year of one, 1 year of the other? What should I do? So in the end, I went down the kitchen route. Was working in a gastro pub the whole time. I don't know, it sounds really strange, but I don't know if you guys have seen photos of like our competitions we did while we were there. I was quite a heavy set chap. I was 21 stone in weight at the age of 19, so I was a big old boy. And it's hard to kind of piece it all together, but during that time I started losing weight, and this was sort of at the end of level 3. I was working in a pub, and I was getting to the end of shifts and stuff, and I couldn't even walk up the stairs after sort of 12, 15 hours on my feet. I was in tears, like having to crawl up the stairs because I physically couldn't walk because of the pain in my feet from the weight, and I have a few health issues with my feet and things like that. So I took time out and went to work at Penny Hill Park Hotel and Spa, sort of front of house concierge type stuff, which I really, really enjoyed because I'm a people person. I like to talk. And being in a kitchen where I was at the gastro pub, it was hard because, you know, I was seeing the same faces every day and doing the same things. I found it quite tricky. So I went to do the front of house concierge thing, and at the time I was there probably 8 or 9 months, and I got a call from Miss Grace. She said, you need to come and get your results, because if you don't come and get them, they get put into archives. You have to pay for it. I was like, yeah, I'll come. So I came in, and I'd obviously by this time in that 8 months time I'd lost 8.5 stone in weight, so I was looking like a relatively healthy human being. And I walked in, and Miss Grace went, "Blimey, like you've lost all this weight, blah blah blah. Lovely to see you." And she asked me what I was doing, and I said to her, "Well, I'm doing this front of house thing, kind of enjoying it." She was like, "No, you can't do that." She's like, "You have to cook." So she said to me, "There's this. I've heard of this job." And I said, "Okay, let's hear about it." And it was private chef to the Earl and Countess of Wessex. So the Queen's youngest son, that was the job. So I was like, yep, let's go for it. And I went for my trial, and I was there 5 years. Loved every single minute of it because it was everything that I wanted. It was the front of house, it was the cooking, it was the family element. I've cooked beans on toast for a 10-year-old all the way up to a 5-course dinner for Her Majesty the Queen. I've done everything in between those two things, and I loved it. I was cooking for the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh. The next day I was playing football in the garden with the little boy for 2 hours, and I was back in the kitchen and I was doing something else, and I loved it. And I was there 5.5 years. I learned a lot. I got my butt kicked a lot. I went in there as a 19-year-old guy who thought he knew everything, and I soon got told that I didn't know everything. And I learned. It was almost like the rule book that Miss Grace and Mr. Patterson and Mr. Hine, they give you, and you go out into the world and you think, right, this is how it's going to be. And it was like, right, tear that up, chuck that in the bin. We're doing this. And it was like, whoa. So it was a big learning curve. I learned a lot, and I was with them obviously five and a bit years. And I now work for a ultra high net worth family in the local area. Similar kind of thing, but a slightly different world. I can't really say too much about it. I'm bound by lots of NDAs, so I'm bound by contract. But it's a very different world to a restaurant kitchen setup, but equally as amazing. And for anyone out there who doesn't know if they want to be in a restaurant or a kitchen or a cafe or a bakery, it's a real option to go down the private route. And it's something it's hard to get into, but once you're into it, you'll really, really enjoy it. I know I've waffled on there and gone on many different tangents, but yeah, that's pretty much me. But yeah, I owe a lot to FCOT and especially to Miss G. I mean, the whole setup pretty much changed the trajectory of my life. I thought I was going to be, maybe a head chef one day, maybe own my own little bistro cafe type place, and now I'm cooking. I've cooked 3-course meals in the French Alps in a chalet that I couldn't afford if I saved my whole lifetime. And I was the sole chef there, and I had a whale of a time. And I went skiing while they were out skiing, and I was cooking when, it's a different world, and I owe a lot. I mean, I think the biggest bit of advice I can give to you guys just starting out, and especially like year ones, year twos, give college and the lecturers that you have there, give them everything you've got. I mean, I think in 3 years I missed half a day of college, which was just a library sort of self-learning day, like a few hours. That's the only time of college I missed in 3 hours, and I worked my butt off. And I was probably, between me and my girlfriend, who I'm still with now, who I met at college, we were the first ones in the door and the last ones to leave every single day. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I loved the process. Absolutely loved it. And I tell you what, if I could switch shoes with you guys, I would. I really, really enjoyed it.
Okay, James, thank you. Thank you for that. That's really nice. Now, we do have some students who have got some questions. So students, if we could just take your questions. So if you could just raise your hand and then we'll go through the questions, if that's okay. Okay, so who's willing to go first? Okay, Ashley's got her hand up. Ashley, could you just explain what course you're doing and then ask your question to James? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Hi, James. I'm currently on the catering course, level 1, food and beverage. And my question is, what advice would you give us to complete the course?
Stay on track. When the lecturers tell you to get in there with your assignments and your tests early, do it, because you will always have time to come back to things if you didn't quite nail it the way you wanted to. Stay focused, and at the end of the day, enjoy it. Really, really enjoy it. I mean, you will have the time of your life if you dive 2 foot into it, and you kind of have to live and breathe it. Really, really take time to understand the process, and just take every bit of information you can, whether it's from how to shuck and sear a scallop to how to lay a table, how to pour a glass of wine. because those skills will come in handy. I mean, I haven't silver served for 5 years, but I guarantee you, if you gave me a spoon and a knife and a bread basket, a spoon and a fork and a bread basket, I'd be able to do it.
Brilliant, thank you. Do we have any more questions? Okay, Harrison. Harrison, could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, James. My name's Harrison. I'm a level 1 catering student. My question is, what was your toughest challenge in your career?
Hello, mate. In my college career, I do college career and normal, and like my outside of college career. Probably in college, my year at college was Mrs. Grace's first year as head of the catering department, and there was a real shift in, you go to college, we have a restaurant, you cook, you go home, that's it, to this new way of learning and competitions and all these kind of things. And I was kind of blessed to be in that first group, and we went to ZestQuest Asia, and we were lucky enough to win. And that was probably the toughest challenge I've ever done, because Asian cooking wasn't something that came particularly natural to me, and it was understanding the layers of flavors and being on the ball and having this time period to get everything done in and staying so on course. And I think that the reason we won that competition was through teamwork, not necessarily because of the food that we produced. It was because for that whole 2.5, 3 hours, however long we had, me and the 2 other people we were doing it with, we were constantly talking. And that was a massive learning curve, because as a chef, you think, oh, I'll just tell you how long my veg is going to take, and then you can carry on with your bit of meat, and then we can chuck it at the pass and it'll be fine. But to this, right, I'm cutting this, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, was a massive learning curve. And then probably outside of college, in my working career, it's probably got to be, when I was working for the Royal Family, we do a shoot weekend up in Norfolk. So I was the sole chef there, only person in the kitchen, and you have 15 guests for 4 days. So you're talking full cooked breakfast, 2-course lunch, full afternoon tea, sandwiches, scones, cakes. You've got a 3-course dinner and a children's dinner of 2 courses all in that day. And I was the only person in the kitchen, and I've also got 7 staff to look after. So butlers, footmen, chauffeurs, all these kind of people that are part of our team. And my first one doing that at 19 years old, it kicked my butt. I struggled and struggled, but I got through it. And then I think once you hit that point where you go, right, I can do that now, everything else sort of falls into line and becomes a hell of a lot easier. You have to climb the mountain, get to the top, put your flag down and go, yeah, I've done that. Right, now everything else is now you could do me a dinner party with the Queen, and I'd go, oh, okay, cool. It's just she's a lovely old lady that I've got to cook dinner for. That's it.
Okay, James. Do we have another question? Okay, can I go for Jay first of all? Oh, wow, they're all coming in. Can I go to Jay first of all, please?
Yeah, hi, James. My name is Jay, and I'm a level 3 catering student. My question to you is, when it comes to competitions, what advice would you give us to deal with the stress and the nerves?
Hello, mate. Competition cooking is a lot different to normal life and normal cooking. Obviously, you guys know that. I think the time plan, and you have to. The 2 people I was doing it with, we were in a team of 2, very luckily. I always did some competitions by myself, which were a bit different. But when you're cooking in a team, you have to know those people at the back of your hand. I mean, you look at these Michelin star kitchens. I don't know if I've worked at the Hannah Flowers, luckily, for a few days and things like that. And you go into these kitchens, and they're the size of, they're tiny, but they know each other like the back of their hands. They know as soon as one thing happens, it's the domino effect. And my friend Liam, who I did it with, who works in a Michelin star kitchen now as the junior sous chef, I was in the kitchen with him the other day doing some prep for his dad's pub, and I know what he's going to do before he does it. And I haven't cooked with him for 6 years. We knew each other, and I think that's the biggest thing. And also talk to each other all the time, tell each other where you are. If you're 2 minutes ahead on your time program, but someone's 3 minutes behind on theirs, jump on theirs, get back to yours, and keep going. And just almost like a horse when they're horse racing, put your blinkers on, forget about all the noise, all the rubbish. Who cares if there's bloke looking over your shoulder? Do what you know you can do, and put up the best dishes, and give those judges the best experience they can have, and make the college and yourself and your parents and Miss Grace and Mr. Patterson proud. That's all you can do. do what you practiced.
Thank you. Okay. So Ewan, your hand's up. Could I ask you to ask your question and explain who you are?
Hi, James. I'm Ewan. I'm a level 1 student at the moment. And my question to you is, what advice would you give someone leaving college to get themselves, well, put themselves out there in the industry?
Hello, mate. It depends on what route you want to go down. I mean, exposure and learning firsthand is the best way to learn, I think. I mean, that my motto was work for the best and eventually I'll be the best, but that changed in the goal that I had at the start. I thought I wanted to, own my own restaurant and get a Michelin star and be like a Ramsay or a Kerridge or something like that. But then my life changed and what I wanted changed. So find out like a broad spectrum of where you want to be, whether you want to own your own coffee shop or you want to be a baker or you want to be a top end chef, and look at the people in the industry that you want to learn from and do what you can. I mean, it's a bit different at the moment because of COVID, but you can go and do stages. You just call their lines and just say like, can I? So stages is a French word for work experience basically, and you go in there for a week or 2 or a month, however long you want to give, and you work for free. It's tough, but it will teach you. And I did my 2 weeks work experience with Tom Kerridge between level 2 and 3. And he offered me a job right there on the spot and said, come work for me. And I said, I'd love to, but I need to go back to college and learn it by the book before I learn other people's shortcuts. That's my personal opinion, because everyone has a different way of doing things. The way that someone peels a potato is very different to the way that you should peel a potato by the book, as an example. But go and expose yourself to these places and see what it's like on a day-to-day, and then you'll know what you want and what you're willing to do, kind of thing. The exposure and learning with your hands is the best way to do it, in my personal opinion.
Okay, thank you. Taylor, I believe you've got a question.
Yeah, hi James. I'm Taylor. I'm a front of house student. My question is, so you were part of the winning team on the ZestQuest Asia. How would you sum up the experience, and can you tell us a funny story about your trip to Sri Lanka?
Yeah, it was a whirlwind, the best experience of my life. First bit was very, very tough, learning the cuisine. We did Thai cuisine, so learning that was very tricky. We had Miss Wilcox at the time, and she was a rock star. She taught us so much, and yeah, the whole experience, it makes me smile now. I had the best time ever. I remember we rocked up to the finals, and we rocked up with a hopper, which is like, it makes like pancakes that are in like a circle, like a semicircle. We rocked up with a pan like that, which was £2 from the charity shop. We rocked up with a pressure cooker, no one used a pressure cooker since the 1980s. And then there's this team from Westminster rock up with a vac pack, a water bath, a Paco jet, and we were like, oh my god, they're gonna wipe the floor with us. And there's us with our pressure cooker, like, all right guys. But yeah, like, teamwork got us through. Funny story from Sri Lanka, probably not from Miss G's, is we worked out, in a couple of guys we went with, we worked out that if you're on the top four floors of this Hilton hotel in Colombia, you're allowed to go to the presidential bar, where they didn't ask for ID. So we may have, don't do this, bad, snuck off for a lemonade once or twice.
Did you take your tutors with you?
No, unfortunately they couldn't make it. It was awful.
Mr. Hine, are you listening? Thank you very much for that. So we've got Jake with his hand up. So Jake, would you like to introduce yourself to James?
Hi James, I'm Jake. I'm doing a level 2 course. I did have a question for you, but you answered it at the very start. But I have another question. Did you ever did you ever go back to Wavell School and do like talk to food tech students and did a sweet and sour sauce demo with them?
Go on, mate. Yeah, I did actually. That was me. We did sweet and sour. We did a Chinese recipe, sweet and sour chicken with egg fried rice, and I did a a beetroot and ricotta ravioli, I think, with like a white cream sauce and a few bits. Yeah, you must have been there. Hope you enjoyed.
Jake,
Yeah,
were you there?
yeah, it was good.
Yeah, no, it's nice to go back. Very nice to go back.
Louise, are you there?
Louise's mic isn't working, Miss Grace.
Okay.
She has just messaged me her question. Would you like me to ask it?
Yes, please, if you could, that'd be amazing.
This isn't my question, it's from Louise. She's our level 1 student, James, and she asks, have you met Prince Harry?
I have not met Prince Harry. Him and Meghan are the ones I haven't met. I've met pretty much everyone else. Yeah, I did. So I worked for the Young Countess for 4 years, and then I worked for the Duke of York for a grand total of 5 weeks. It was a stressful experience. I'll put it that way. He's got a lot going on in his personal life, so it was a stressful time. But I did do a bit of help over Beatrice's wedding. When Eugenie pronounced she was pregnant, I was there for that. So yeah, it's been a cool experience. Lots of memorable moments, I have to say.
Okay, thank you. And I have got Jade. I can't see her online though.
I don't think she's online, Miss Grace.
Okay, well, I'll ask Jade's question. Jade's question to you, she's a level 2 student, and she said, can you give a funny story about each of the staff members?
What, the current FCOT staff members?
Yes, we've got Mr. Hine online. We've got Mr. Smith online as well.
Oh God, I'm getting myself in trouble. I don't know. I can't think. Put me on the spot here. No, we went to Disneyland. That was a brilliant trip. So between levels 2 and 3, we went off to Disneyland. That was amazing. Some funny moments. I can't think of anything. Not off the top of my head. There's nothing that I can't remember.
No, anything funny in Sri Lanka that happened, or?
I remember watching Mr. Hine's face when we watched Mr. Wilcox when we watched a bloke with a machete butcher a tuna. That was quite enjoyable.
Right.
There's a lot of tuna that didn't end up on the table. It ended up everywhere else. And it stunk. It was like we had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and get in a minibus all the way to this fish market. It was amazing experience, but it was pretty grim. It was pretty grim. But no, nothing.
Don't forget, you got Miss Grace as well to talk about any funny moments with Miss Grace.
Jade is probably the best to talk to. I'll try and get Jess. She'll probably be able to tell you a bit more funny moments about Miss Grace.
Okay, well, I think we're running out of time now.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Okay, are there any more questions at all that anybody would like to ask before we wrap up today's guest speaker? Giles, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Giles. I'm doing level 1 at the moment. What was Tom Kerridge like?
Hey mate, as a person, a really nice guy. Calls you chief a lot because he's a boy from the West Country. But yeah, no, a wicked experience. You have to understand, when I went to do a bit for Tom Kerridge, he was at the top of his game. He just released his TV shows, and he'd skyrocketed to the top. He was the man in the British food scene, and they were doing 80 covers, lunch and dinner, 80 covers every day. So they were doing 40 for lunch, complete everyone out, reset the tables, go again. So those boys were getting to work at 6 o'clock in the morning and working clean through till midnight, 1 a.m. And it was they were different gravy, I tell you that. They were pushing so hard to get, because they just got their 1, they were going for their 2-star. And it was an eye-opening experience to realize the amount of pressure and how articulate you have to be perfect. And that's what they were trying to do at the time. But him as a guy, awesome. First day there, dinner service, he put a chair on the pass and just said, "Don't say anything, don't do anything, just watch." And I watched 10 boys in a room that couldn't have been probably as big as the bit, I don't know if it's still the same, the bit between the kitchen and the restaurant, the pantry area at FCOT, that big. And I watched 10 boys push out 80 covers of perfect food, and there wasn't a sound. You couldn't hear a pin drop. Check was on, check was done, go again. And it was like watching an orchestra, in motion. They were incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I did miss Tammy off the list, though. Do you have a funny story about Tammy?
Oh, Tammy was my favourite. No offence to Miss Grace, no offence to anyone else. I used to stand in pot wash with Tammy, and we just used to laugh about everything. I can't even tell you what we were laughing about, but it was hysterical. We've had talking back to funny stories. It doesn't involve any of the current stuff. Miss Wilcox, I remember there was a student a year younger than us at my time, and he was asked to make sweet potato soup, I think it was. And me and my friend Liam, we were at the back of the kitchen. We were practicing stuff for our competition, going through things. I think I was filleting mackerel because it was a mackerel dish at the start. I filleted so many mackerel, I could do it with my eyes closed now. And the guy's blended the soup, and he's forgot to put the top on the top, and it's gone all over the wall. And obviously Miss Wilcox walked over to him and said, right, clean down, start again. So they spent about 20 minutes cleaning down, and he's gone to reblend it. And Miss Wilcox has sort of got his back to him. He's talking to someone else. And I said to Liam, he's left the top off that blender again. Should I? And he was like, no, he'll realise. And with that, he does it again. Miss Wilcox turns around and she's got sweet potato soup dripping from her eyelashes and there's steam coming out of her ears. And I wet myself. I thought it was the funniest thing ever. Also, she asked a student to debone some chicken legs, and she said to him, "Keep the bones." And he went, "Okay." So he's gone for ages doing these chicken legs, and he's finished. And he's got this bowl, and he goes to her and he goes, "I finished, miss." And it's a bowl of bones. And she goes, "What did you do with the meat?" He's like, I put that in the bin. I thought you wanted the bones. And again, wet myself for ages. as steam then came out of her ears.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Do we have any more questions at all? No? Okay. Right. Well, James, that just leaves it to me just to wrap everything up. I can't thank you enough to come on and to speak to our students, to give them some inspiration and to pass on your knowledge of your amazing life that you've experienced. I just wish you all the best. Keep in touch with us, most definitely. Our love to Jess and to your families, and don't leave it too long before we see you again.
No, definitely not. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, thank you.
Enjoy the experience, guys. That's all I can say to you.
Okay, keep